Welcome back now. That very soothing song ushers us into the show this morning. Let's get the show started. Now, during the week, Governor Sanwo-Olu of Lagos publicly threatened. We were talking about naming and shaming during the opening. Well, he publicly threatened that he was going to name those prominent Nigerians who are behind the perennial gridlock in the Apapa environs. This came on the heels of an indiscriminate parking of containers and fuel tankers on the Apapa-Oshodi Expressway, which led to a total lockdown of that road. Wow.
Again.
Lagos is in trouble. Well, we have people who are going to help us look at this again. We've been looking at this thing for God knows how long, and the problem seems to be intractable. There seems to be no solution. Even though we heard that from the 27th of February, if I'm not mistaken, that the e-call-up system was going to be operational. So what happened to that plan? This question and many more we're going to be asking our panel this morning, which is made up of the President, Amalgamated Container Truck Owners, Mr. Leah Thompson. Good morning.
Good morning,
as well as the President of the Corporate Fleet Truck Owners, Mrs. Falake George. Good morning.
Good morning.
As well as our old friend, Mr. Remy Ugwemi, Chairman, Association of Maritime Truck Owners.
But we'll get him later. You know, it's interesting, you know, that we're talking to different associations this morning. Because the last conversation we had about this, I don't know if you remember, were told by one of them who came here, about 35 different associations, agencies of government, authorities within that one. And the challenge was, who is the central coordinating agency?
The task force. Even though that has now been disbanded. Well, Lagos State is now in charge, and they're screaming blue murder, obviously. But, Mr. Thompson.
How about ladies first? It's International Women's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, Mrs. George.
Yes.
I'm just being railroaded this morning. Mrs. George.
Yes.
You are the President, Corporate Fleet Truck Owners. So your activities are in that area because you need to use the ports.
Yes.
Now, what has your experience been since the e-call-up started? Which is about just over a week ago.
A week ago. Absolutely. Actually, a week ago. Really, we've been talking about this e-call-up for a period of time. We thought it was going to start in the early part of 2020 because after a long consultation with stakeholders and the governing body, we felt the propagation for an e-call-up probably that could solve the problem of Apapa gridlock from experience of having different agencies come into Apapa and try to solve the problem. You know, we had the regime of the Navy. We also had this last regime of the presidential tax team that came, they put in their best, and you see that as it wants to be like Nabiku, the Yoruba would say, as you are looking for solution, another thing is rearing is ugly edge. But to the glory of God, if we have this e-call-up, it's strictly going to, if you don't have any business doing in the ports, you are not supposed to come to Apapa as a trucker.
Sorry, why are you saying if we have, when we have?
If you don't have any business, because you, as a trucker.
No, you said if we have this e-call-up. It is not
I said we
anymore.
have. I said
we have.
We
yes.
have the e-call-up.
Okay,
so,
but the gridlock is still there.
Now, because it's just new, and you will, of course, experience some teaching problem that we believe we're going to get over a period of time. You know, when you have a new system, people will not tally into it immediately. Then issues that you don't envisage also will come up because of the new system, new era. Knowing us also, Nigerians, for whom we are not, you remember the time that we were talking about cashless society and how some people vehemently opposed to it, but now everybody is enjoying it. And I'm sure that it's just 1 week. You will not expect that you won't see this. It's not like, it's not gridlock now. It's traffic entering into the terminal.
Okay, Mr. Thompson, has there been any improvement since the introduction of the e-collar?
Yeah.
Have you noticed any?
Yeah, there have been a tremendous improvement. No, that one's sure. But the only challenge we're having now, yes, the program just started, and we should, expect 1 or 2 problems. But we're having a problem because this thing is a circle from the guy in charge of e-collar, which is TTP, and where we're heading to, which is APMT terminals. TTP had a meeting initially with APMT and asked them a specific question. How many containers can you absorb within 1 hour? And they said 100. TTP said no. Let's make it 60 so that we can be on the safer page. And they said, okay, no problem. But since the inception of this program, APMT is the one frustrating us.
Please, who is APMT?
Apapa
They are the Apapa Port concessionaire.
Okay.
Each time, we agree that 60 containers should go at should move within the period of 1 hour. And TTP have programmed their system to call in people, e-collar. When they call you, normally you are supposed to move from TTP terminal straight to the port.
Yeah.
But APMT is not, taking more than 10, 5.
As opposed to 60.
Yes. Ooh. And that is the problem we've been facing. In fact, on Tuesday, they said their system collapsed and they didn't work throughout. And these people have already called people. So it needs the intervention of both MPA and the executive governor of Lagos State to call these people, the management of APMT, for a meeting and let us know. Because they have been benefiting from the system all along. All the time you have this gridlock in Apapa, APMT have been making a lot of money, charging Nigerians all sorts of demurrage. If your system collapses, for example, am I supposed to pay demurrage?
No.
Definitely supposed to be no. But they still charge you demurrage for that.
Let me ask you, Mr. Thompson, on the back of what you're saying now. Because I'm just wondering why we needed to get here in the first place. And now, is there any way that you think we could have, what are the bottlenecks in the way before this e-collar was introduced? And from what you have said now, clearly there is an attempt at frustrating one way or another. So what are those things that were responsible for this challenge, this gridlock we had in the place? And do you think we've been able to identify the problem so that this e-collar is not just another problem?
No. Like all the unions, all the truckers, for example, we've all agreed that we have to work together and make sure that this program, this particular e-collar works to the best of, to the best of everyone.
How many unions are there?
We are 8 in numbers. Okay. And we come under one umbrella. But that one, let's put it aside. But the most important thing is that we've all identified the problem. And the problem is APMT. Yes, that's the gospel truth. If you come to Apapa, ask anybody, they're still going to tell you the same thing. The truckers, you've asked us to withdraw all our trucks and take them to the park. We've withdraw everything. They're all in the park now. They only call when we make the booking online. That is when we come to to TTP. Okay. And the system is working. We are all praising it and we are ready to support it because in all the systems they've been introducing, this one happened to be the best that we think will help our business. But the people that have been benefiting from the system, the whole system, which is APMT, sometimes they don't work for 2 days. They will tell you their system is bad. And whether you like it or not, they will still charge you. We've handled it. We've challenged them severally. We've taken the matter to APMT, to MP severally. That look, this problem is from APMT.
I'm wondering, to whom does APMT report?
They said they have a contract that gives them so much power. So we need to expose this.
But can NPA not call them to order?
They used to, but you don't see them much difference. That's the gospel truth.
Okay. Maybe it's time for you to talk to Mr.
Yes,
Gubemi
Mr.
now.
Gubemi. Is there any penalty stipulated for anybody who is not called up but shows up on the road and causes a traffic jam?
Well, it's not under our office to analyze anyone. All I know is that in every case, there must be a rule. And whoever that violated the rule will be sanctioned.
I'm sorry, we can't really hear. Just a moment, Mr. Ogunbemi. We can't really hear you now, but I'm sure we'll get to it shortly and we'll sort it out. But let me come back to you while we're working on Mr. Ogunbemi's audio. Mrs. George, you heard the governor of Lagos State say, what's the term you used? Name and shame. How significant do you think we need to get there? How significant do you think that will address anything? Because that suggests...
It should address, if they can, you know, get into the roots and get somebody culpable. You know that really some people, except you flog them, they don't want to adjust from their bad ways. Yes, it's true. If they can come out, investigate and see that, okay, this person has been identified as the clog in the wheel of this progress, then expose the person. What I normally say is that if you found anybody wanting in doing something wrong and it's not said to the public, if you treat it indoor and the public is not aware, then you have not done anything. If, as we are talking about APMT now, if the government called a meeting with their management and televise and let Nigerians and the Apapa community see that we have, you know, called these people, we have mandated them, asked them what their problem is, that they cannot work optimally, or people are, you know, laying accusation at your doorstep, and make it public, not indoor, closed-door meeting. Let us see, so that you know that on the side of government, they are doing something. Yeah. Because for me, when we go for stakeholders meeting, I always take it like everybody's just saying truckers as if we are the nuisance. And it doesn't stop at our feet alone. Because it takes two to tango. Baba normally say that. It takes two. Most people, okay, let me say 70% of the truckers in Apapa axis are one-man, two-man, man must survive enterprise. And when you have something disturbing to take home to feed their family, everybody wants to stretch and want to, you know, go haywire. So when you have a situation where a terminal operator that is supposed to receive trucks that will take out imports or taking exports shut down for 10 hours out of 24 hours, and you have promised 60 per hour, that is 300 trucks shortfall.
And they will be on the roads in the meantime?
No, this time around, they will be on the road up until Lily Pond, not to the terminal gates, because they had to be shut there. But when you have the spill, for those that have passed the terminal and they are shut in between, you will see the gridlock. Then they will not talk about APMT, they will be saying truckers, as if they are not human being or they intentionally want to be nuisance.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes out of their fault. But I'm not saying some are not, you know, erring, but not in this time of this e-color, because you can't come to that axis. You need your tickets.
You have been called up.
You need your tickets with you to access.
Okay, but Mr. Thompson, the governor just said this, you know, about the time that this whole program was being announced, you know, but I'm just wondering what you think, you know, because he mentioned that we'll publicly name and shame. He's definitely not talking about truckers. He's not talking about the drivers. Yeah. So that means that beyond APMT that you mentioned, there definitely are some, as you say, influential people behind these things?
That was in the past. We need to make things clear. In the past, when we have all sort of, task force, task team, task this, whatever, we've gotten about 5 or 6 different task forces. And back then, people, because of some of the gains and some people are, benefiting, they may work against the system, but not under this e-call-up. Under the e-call-up, everything is set, and I believe that if we don't have any encumbrance from APMT, we won't have any problem.
So everything is transparent now?
Yes, very, very transparent.
Is there any way, sorry, let me take to Pastor, Mr. Ogungbemi. So Ogungbemi, so we've been able to identify APMT, and as from quoting the governor, some individuals, that could be part of a move to frustrate this program. How do you see all of this playing out? And as Alera asked you the other time, is there any penalty that you see as being strong enough a deterrent to say, don't go there?
Well, there are penalties, like I said earlier, in every game there is a rule to the game. If anyone violates the rule of the game, the person should be sanctioned. But however, I want to believe that the solution to the problem of Apapa Gridlock has come to an end. We have gotten the solution. And this is exactly what I've been clamoring for many, many years. Because the infrastructure that we have can no longer accommodate the volume of the activities that we are giving to the infrastructure. What am I saying? The goods that are coming to the port are increasing, vehiculars are increasing, population are increasing, and yet the infrastructure remains stagnant. That is one of the problems that we are having. But now that we are having a new system, e-call-up system, I believe it will help to solve this problem. But let me use this forum to appeal to some individuals and groups, especially people in authority. They intervene when they're not supposed to intervene. I have had many occasions where someone will call and say, I am Kabiesi, I am Oba, I am Emir, I am Obia, I am AIG, I am DIG. If AIG will call DPO or call area commander, allow trucks to go, who is he to say no? That is why it becomes, you see, priorities.
You think that, do you think even in this era of e-call-up, you think that is still possible?
Well, I wouldn't say this is Nigeria, anything can possible. But the people operating the system, system is what you garbage in that you garbage out. They should be very strict not to allow any individual to influence the system. If no one influences the system, I believe it will help to address the problem. But however, we have come, we have started, we have laid our hand on the plow, no going back. Whatever happened, no going back. We have resolved that this e-call-up system, we are going to stand by it and to make sure it works.
We have a tweet here from Tam Dudu. He says the call-up system is good. The problem now is with the shipping lines whose holding bays won't receive returning containers except for a fee. As much as 170,000 naira is paid to return an MSC container. This is frustrating the system.
Let's drink some water.
Okay. All right. We'll deal with that when we come back from this break.
If only you knew the placard somebody was carrying before we came back on there. I'm not saying anything. So
yes. Mrs. George, we were talking about 170,000 naira per container. What's that all about? That's a lot of money.
Actually, what Nigerian Ports Authority said to all shipping companies that brings in containers is that you must have your holding bay. Okay. And I remember at one of the stakeholders' meeting, when...
No, hang on. I do apologize. Before we continue, let us break this down as much as we can so that everybody who's watching is following us. What is a holding bay?
Holding bay is where, when as a trucker, offload the imports at the consignee or at the importer's point.
Yes.
You take the empty container.
Okay.
You have it written on your ear where you take the empty container to, depending on the shipping company.
Okay.
So MPA mandated that all shipping companies must have their empty container holding bay outside of the ports.
Okay.
Is to, you know, to reduce the gridlock. When the issue of gridlock became incessant, that system was vehemently put in structure that you must have your empty container holding bay.
Right.
But the issue is not all the shipping companies, they don't have the commensurate holding bay to take
So
the empty.
Hold
all the empties.
Containers that want to use their services.
So, Nigerian factor comes in.
Which is what?
Money. Yes, because as a trucker, let me tell you, as a trucker, if you give me job to do, until I drop the empty container and collect the container card, I've not finished my job.
Okay.
That means either my money as a fleet owner with the company that I have contract is being held because I've not completed my job. Or as a freelance trucker, you have some percentage of your money being held. So you want to drop the container so that you can have your money. So when you get to the holding bay and they are telling you, go and send email, the place is filled up and you come at the mercy of some of
So if the holding bay is full, the holding bay is full. So where do you take your container now?
So the question was asked by the shipping company. I remember they asked MP that question at one of the sittings, that if the holding bay is full, what happens? I can't remember the answer given. Seriously. I cannot remember the answer given.
Please, what was the answer given?
They said each shipping company must have at least 2 holding bay. If one is filled up, the other one should be like a reserve that people direct people to. But
so
it's only few of them.
Are the companies complying?
It's only few of them that comply. Only few.
Where does this 170,000 naira per day come in?
It's virtually all the bonded, I mean all the holding bays.
What does that mean in simple English?
In simple English.
Simple English is, I have my empty container on my truck and I want to, I'm looking for a turnover because I need to go and do another business. And when you get to holding bay, somebody is telling you, oh God, there's no space. But if you want to drop this container, if you give me so amount, I will create a place for you. And that has been the system. Even if you see the entire place free, they will still tell you you need to settle.
Mr. Kungbemi, is this category of people part of the people that the governor should name and shame?
Well, if I may comment, this issue of empty container, to the best of my knowledge and from experience, I think the major challenge they are having is evacuation. Even though if you turn the whole Ajegunle into holding bay, if they don't evacuate, within a short period of 3, 4, 6 months, every area will fill up. So
when you say evacuation, again, please let's break it down. Some of us are very, very illiterate in this matter. When you say evacuation, what are you saying?
Evacuation means these places they are dropping their empty container. Had it been they evacuate, they remove, they shift, they ship it out of the country. They remove it from there as at when due. We won't have such places filled up because as I speak, most of the holding bays for empty containers has filled up to the brim. So without constant evacuation, that is removing the empty container, it will continue to fill up. That's what I mean. And again, they are having the problem. I'm not defending the shipping company, but I'm only saying what I experienced. Has it been that as the empty containers are coming to those holding bays and the road infrastructure is convenient enough for them, because I have witnessed a situation where some shipping companies want to ship out about 500 containers. Hardly will they ship out 150 because of the road gridlock. That's what I mean. But however, every problem has a solution. People in authority should look for how to find lasting solution to that.
I have a contrary view.
Okay, you want to... Okay.
Just before you present that view, Mr. Gumuli, whose job is it to move the empty container from the holding bay to the port?
It's the responsibility of the shipping companies.
Okay. All right. Yes.
Yeah, what I mean by having a contrary view from what Baba is saying is this. One, MPA have given all the shipping company an option, and many of them are using it very well. You can take this MT through the waterways by using badges.
Yes.
And majority of them are doing it perfectly. So if some are doing it, some are not doing it, and they are, because of what they are benefiting from truckers, we need to be sincere and face this thing, the way it is. If they need to invest, as a business, you are making money from it, you need to invest. Go and buy some badges to do this business instead of extorting money. There is no way if you are moving it from the badges every day. This thing takes them about 30, 40 minutes.
Is this
from the Audin Bay to the port?
Is this what the governor meant when he said we have taken the daily earnings of some people away from them?
No, definitely. Just this call-up alone have removed, a lot of things from so many people. Because some people believe that gridlock can never come to an end. Because just getting to Apapa in a day, they know how much they make, both Think and Apapa. But with the call-up, you can't come to me and tell me that, look, I'll go and get you a letter from EMIA, or I'll go and get you a letter from one higher authority that they will allow you to move your container. It has to be from the system. If the place is filled up and they don't have any space, the system will block you, which is perfect. And we want it to continue that way. If you don't have any business, if you believe through, extorting money from people, that's where you are going to earn your living, out of business.
Okay. There's this interesting tweet here. APMT needs competitors. It lacks capacity to do the job efficiently. It is acting adversely, negatively to government policy. Yeah. Government must act decisively against organizations working against the interests of the nation.
Exactly.
Baba, your comment?
Yes, I agree 100% with that comment, because the APMT, to the best of my knowledge, they are chewing more than they can swallow. And they need people that will compete with them. There is need for expansion of the port itself. Some areas within Apapa ought to have been acquired and converted for the extension of the port. So the volumes of containers that are entering Apapa port, I think I will say about 90% goes to APMT. That's why they're having that problem, which means they are chewing more than they can swallow. There's need to have another concessionaire so that they can divide the portion into different concessionaires.
In your engagements with MPA, for instance, have you suggested this to them?
Well, we have not got into that. Our interest is how the stress and the fatigues that the drivers and the truckers are passing through will come to an end.
Yeah, but if APMT is running its own business efficiently, then what you're talking about will be achieved.
Well, I agree. The APMT have not been efficient. That is true. It's a fact.
Let me ask you, Mr. Tom. So, just before I come back to you, if the APMT has not been efficient, whose responsibility is it to call them to order?
Well, we have the regulator, we have technical regulator of the port, that is MPA, and we have the economic regulator of the port, that is Nigerian Express Council. It's their responsibility.
Are you saying that they also are reneging on their responsibilities?
Well, I won't speak for them.
Interesting. Okay. Well, Mr. Thompson, I wanted to ask you, are there situations where we have, because when we had this conversation with the MD of MPA, one of the things we asked was about those who come in with perishable or time-bound, products. How does the system work for them?
Yeah, they have some privilege, some concession that if you are with any perishable items, especially export, they will allow you to go straight to Lillipon, make your booking, and you move straight to the port. But at the same time, at the end of the day, it still depends on APMT. Because if they call you and give you that express movement, and where you are heading to, the man that's going to receive you is not doing anything.
It's like this APMT is a local government on its own. Honestly. So, but let me ask you, because this priority, thing, does it only apply to perishables? Okay, you said it's for exports. How about imports?
Imports? No.
Perishable imports?
Perishable imports are giving express service. Okay. Like all these river containers and so anything rivers. as soon as the container drop them, they have a place where they put them, put them on to light, so that at least if it's in a refrigerator, something can still be alive. And it doesn't take more than a day or two for you to evacuate.
Mrs. George, isn't it also possible for some people to say, if you can give priority to this, you can give priority to me just this once?
That's what
you said. You talked about the Nigerian factor the other time.
Yes, that's what we are saying now. That you know that e-call-up also, the advantage to it is supposed to limit human interaction. Because it's supposed to be an online thing. Get on your computer, make your bookings and go, pay online and go. And even the customer service of Eto, what we suggest is that they should move their customer service center out of their terminal, outside of their terminal, to reduce human interaction so that you will not get easily, cowed into issues that you don't want to accept. So, if we have all those things put in place, where would you need priority? If the system, you are booked, if the system works, and those that you are going to meet,
APMT is efficient,
because even the
taking,
APMT, do you know that the gate, the problem of APMT also affects other terminals inside Lagos Port Complex? Because it's not only APMT that is inside Lagos Port Complex. You have the ENL, you have the GDNL.
Support.
So most of the time, if they create this problem, you cannot access the other terminals that you want to go into. So really, for this system and for governor to be able to shame a name, they have to, that was the first thing I said, call these people. Let the whole world, at least Nigerian, Lagos populace, and the port environment, see that the people that they are mentioning that are causing some of these issues, you have called them to a meeting. Let Lagos television, Channels television, call them so that everybody will know. Then you will give like an hotline to people if you have any issue that is being caused by them. Because, when you even call the meeting, they will also have their own part of the story to say. And for us to get to the root of the matter, we have to do some transparency. And it has to cut across all spheres, not only truckers. It should also governments, agencies, and the people that are controlling. We should have that transparency cut across all boards.
Let me stay with you, Mrs. George. Okay. And I'll be speaking now because I know that those who live in Apapa and those who work in that environment will be listening to this discussion very attentively. Now, since this e-call-up started, what has been the effect of this on the lives of those who live there, who work there, many of whom have run away since all this nonsense started a number of years ago?
I want to say that it started last week, Saturday. Up until, it's been on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it's been, you will not believe it's Apapa, up until Wednesday. So the problem with APMT was on Tuesday. So the spill started on Wednesday and Thursday.
So by Wednesday and Thursday, there were trucks on the roads again?
Yes.
Up to yesterday.
Up to this morning. Why? Because those that have accessed the Lillipond terminal to go into the port, invariably they are stuck, and you have this backlog.
Because APMT is not dealing with them
so
efficiently.
You have
taking
backlog.
The number it's supposed to take per day.
You have backlog inside the terminal. And for those that have, come up online to get their tickets, they are already outside also to go into Lillipond. So we need to, sometimes you see some people suggest that probably, and now there is another issue. These things that we are saying also, the empty containers really have not been able to effectively move into the ports. So I hope we are not going to have another issue based on that.
In parentheses, where exactly is Lillipond?
Lillipond is when you come down 7 Up High Bridge.
Yes.
Lillipond is the terminal. Total filling station. Like you are going to Naval Dockyard. Yes, that's where Lillipond is.
Question some people would also be asking is it large enough to contain all the
empty containers?
If APMT, yes, I will still go to APMT in all my response. if EPMT is receiving as they're supposed
Like they should.
there should be.
He's not supposed to stay in there.
It's just for you to get there, and it's a transit park.
It's to transit.
So, Mr. Ogunbemi, residents of Apapa and environs should be looking forward to better days now?
Yes, of course. And I have this to say that the system, I mean the electronic call-up system, is not perfect yet. There are still some hiccups, which is expected, because no system is perfect at a go. But as time goes by, I know there are going to be a kind of modification that will bring about the expected sanity and orderliness. It's gradual. We cannot achieve everything at a go. It's a gradual process. But however, where we are now is better than where we are coming from.
So far,
we will not go back to where we are before.
Well, Governor said that as well.
We have resolved not to go back to where we are before. And again, I want to use this medium to commend the truckers, because we instruct, we advise that remove your truck from the road and bridges, go back to your garages. That's why you see everywhere was cleaned up.
Until Thursday.
If the system is not working optimally, there could be tendency for them to start coming.
Okay, so what are some of the problems? You said that we're having teething problems. So what are some of these that you have identified from your experience that need to be dealt with for this program to work seamlessly?
Well, there are technical issues. It's an aliens arrangement. We are not used to all this arrangement before. It's just like somebody that bought a phone. The very day you buy your phone, you cannot understand all the functions. It has to take some days, if not weeks, before you can understand all these functions. Some people, when they are booking, maybe for one reason or that, they make mistake. And if there's any mistake, there's no how you can skate through. And even the operator themselves, I mean the TTP, they need to improve. Not only that, they shouldn't narrow their mind. They should also listen to some ideas. Because ideas, they say, rule the world. Because no one has a monopoly of knowledge and wisdom.
But do you think that the people who are supposed to operate this system, do you think they have been adequately educated about the process so that, they don't circumvent it, just as you're saying now? No, Mr. Ogunbemi.
Yes, I believe they are competent to handle it. They are trying to possible best. But I know this is computer. Whatever you garbage in is what you garbage out. And I believe if they do that, I believe they won't allow that. They won't allow that to happen.
All right, Mr. Thompson, we talked about priority the other time. I saw a tweet from Femi who says, I see military trucks bringing in containers to APMT. Help me to ask if they also enter the port with the e-call-up.
You do. They do.
Well, Femi.
Because initially, when we saw them, trooping into the port, I am few that myself, Madam Folaki, and few of our members, we went there to challenge them that the system has changed. It's no more the old system where you just come from nowhere and you bulldoze your way in. Where are you coming from? Where's your document? And they show us the document. It was then that we have to even drive down to their terminal. They have a big terminal around my Nigeria Army Trailer Park. And they have the system to get in and get out. They have it there. So if they are moving, it's because they have their e-call-up. And it's not only limited to the military. Civilians can go there and do the same thing. You can make use of the terminal.
Okay. Well, you heard Mr. Ogunbemi talk about a number of challenges. You've continued to talk about APMT. If you can look away for a second from APMT. Because, listen, Alera asked you about the people living in that environment. I have had reason, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, trust me, 3 or 4 years ago, to go to that area. I don't even want to imagine, how, I don't even want to imagine living there, much less have to deal with this all of the time. So, because of those other people, what are those bottlenecks that you think we have to deal with? Honestly,
the last 1 week, Apapa have been a new city. Been Apapa for years, over 20-something years. The last 4 or 5 years, when you wake up and you realize that, you are going to your office, your heart cuts. Traffic again. Just between Gridlock to my office takes me sometimes 2.5 hours. So is a problem. But thank God with this e-color.
Okay.
And the major problem that besides APMT is all these tankers. Because they have some, privilege, so to say. Sometimes they just troop into the road, but with the e-color too, I don't know whether they give them a certain time. I think they are, complying with the rules also. Well, and the Apapa resident, I think we are all happy that this thing is coming up.
Mrs. George, I mean, you've defended the truckers the other times, but you would agree that even as far as Nina Road,
there's one thing that, please, I want to add to it. We truckers are the one that is always at the receiving end. If we're called up, you have your document.
Yeah.
It's not that you hit the road without calling. Now they call you that, okay, come to Lily Point, and you're on the normal lane. And last one will just come and say, why did you come here? And those trucks will be picked, and you ask them to go and pay to 50,000. That is wrong.
So it's still back to the Lagos State government as well?
Yes. They have to look at it.
Are you talking about trucks with the e-color?
With the e-color, yes.
Yes.
Okay, there was something you said, the other time. Is this to say that the Lagos State government doesn't have all the information? Do you think the Lagos State government is collaborating enough? Let me ask you, Mrs. George. Do you think the Lagos State government is collaborating enough with all stakeholders, or you think they're just listening to a pocket of people?
What I want to say about Lagos State government is that before the takeoff of this e-column, we held some stakeholders engagements with the Ministry of Transportation, Lagos State, with the SA and the Commissioner. And there was a time somebody in the state executive was talking to us, reeling out orders as if we're in military regime. I told him that this is civilian dispensation, and I knew what it took me in terms of campaigning APC without being a card-carrying APC member and taking my time to go and vote APC. So if governments have whatever they want to say to stakeholders, it's supposed to be an engagement. You cannot stand up and be reeling out orders as if we're in the classroom.
So, in other words, you think the Lagos State government needs to collaborate more with the stakeholders?
Yes, I think so, because some of those that are engaged by Lagos State to do this job, they have seen trucker as their enemies causing problem. Do you understand? They don't want to listen to our part. Like somebody that is called and has the document, what you need to check is the authenticity of the document the person is holding. Okay. So you cannot find arbitrarily.
Okay. We need to wind down now. Baba, your last word, please.
Yeah, I want to appeal to Lagos State government, like Madam George has rightly said. It's unfortunate. The government appoint them, the committee, to work, but it's unfortunate. Some of them are seeing it as an opportunity to enrich themselves. Imagine a situation where a truck is towed and they are demanding for 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. It's unbecoming. So please, I'm appealing to His Excellency, our governor, to look into this, to see how all those trucks that have been arrested and impounded, maybe allow them to just pay a little amount of 50,000, so that the good working relationship can continue.
Okay. Mr. Remi Ogungbemi, Chairman, Association of Maritime Truck Owners. We also had in the segment Mr. Leye Thompson, President, Amalgamated Container Truck Owners, as well as, well, last but not least, Mrs. Falake George, President, Corporate Fleet Truck Owners. Thank you very much for coming to enlighten us. And residents of Apapa, I mean, I must say congratulations to you all. After all these years, it looks like you are finally going to get some peace.
Yes.
Get your city back.
Sunrise will be right back with another interesting conversation. Do